What's going on, guys, and welcome back to WWE Network and Chill, where every single week I, Graham Giuseppe Matthews, break down all the original content that I watch on the WWE Network. Of course, on Mondays now, I will be talking about Total Bellas. On Fridays, I will be reviewing whatever I watch on the network after Raw. This week, there was nothing airing after Raw on the WWE Network, probably due to the Memorial Day holiday. So I'm thinking, what can I go back and watch to review for today's show? And because I just watched Solo on Sunday, I thought it would be only fitting to go back and watch the Star Wars The Force Awakens edition of WWE Unfiltered with Renee Young from December 15th, 2015. Now, Unfiltered I talked about before here in the show with Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens, and Seth Rollins. 3 great episodes. So be sure to go back and check out those episodes as well as my reviews right here on WWE Network and Chill. But yeah, the episodes are basically structured with Renee Young sitting down with each of these people, whether it be Owens or Rollins or some other superstar or celebrity, and, talking about certain things that people want to know and asking the questions that most interviewers would never ask. And it's usually one person. With this episode, it's basically like one of those press interviews type things, press media conferences, whatever, where you go in and you talk to each member of the cast, not all at the same time. So basically, Renee Young went in solo, flying solo, no pun intended there, to talk to Han Solo, Harrison Ford, J.J. Abrams, the director of the movie, of course, Gwendolyn Christie, who played Captain Phasma in the movie, John Boyega, who is Finn, and Oscar Isaac, who is Poe, as well as Lupita. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce her last name, but she played Maz Kanata. Now, I think that's how you pronounce the character's name. I had no clue who this woman had played in the movie, Lupita. I'm like, she does not look familiar. Who is this woman? And she played the orange woman from Force Awakens, that like alien type woman from Force Awakens. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But that's who Maz Kanata is, and she plays the voice of that character. So anyway, I'm breaking this down by person. I know this episode is, basically Renee Young asks the questions, and then they kind of go down the line with each person giving their answers, but I'm going to break this down by person just because it's a lot easier, and that's how I wrote it down here in my notes. So we'll start with Poe, Oscar Isaac. He says that his finisher, as asked by Renee Young, would be something having to do with flying, because obviously he's a pilot. He's a pilot, so obviously his finisher, if he was a wrestler, would have to do something with being off the top rope and flying off the top rope. He wants a match with The Rock, because Renee Young asks everyone, who do you want to match with in WWE at a WrestleMania? Who would it be? He said, I would want to match with The Rock. He also talks about the fan theory that Kylo Ren was Jar Jar the entire time, which I guess it still could be. No, I'm just kidding. Hopefully Jar Jar is not involved in any of the upcoming Star Wars movies, because that would be fucking terrible. He talks about that fan theory, jokes about that, and also compares his pilot skills to Han Solo's, saying that he is better than Han Solo because he has maybe not more experience, but he knows how to fly a plane better and stuff like that. So, but he does outright say he's a better pilot than Han Solo, which is, some heavy praise for his own character. But that's what Oscar said. Then we move on over to John Boyega, who portrays Finn, of course. Renee Young asks the ever-important question: how do you go to the bathroom in the Stormtrooper suit? Because he is a Stormtrooper at the beginning of Star Wars The Force Awakens. And John reveals that there's a rubber strap under the dark side, underneath his junk, I'm sure. You pop open the cap, and that's how you go to the bathroom, so I guess that's how it works. Anyway, Renee Young asks everybody, why should WWE fans come out to see The Force Awakens? And he says because the combat is ridiculous, a lot like the WWE. They'll love the action of the movie. He said he's a big Cena fan, but he loves The Rock. And he said if he was ever put in a match with The Rock would undoubtedly win. We move on over to Gwendolyn Christie, who portrays Captain Phasma. Again, ask the same question. Why should WWE fans go on out to see The Force Awakens? She said because Star Wars is an incredible experience that fans of all ages can enjoy. She would want a match with, surprising answer, Roman Reigns. Now, I find it very hard to believe that she knows who Roman Reigns is. Unless she watches wrestling, maybe she is a WWE fan. I don't know how she knows who Roman Reigns is. Maybe her kids watch it. I'm not saying she can't be a fan, but I took that as I was taken by surprise by that answer just because I did not think your typical actor or casual fan at that would know who Roman Reigns is. But anyway, she said that she admits that when she first saw the character Captain Phasma on paper, she absolutely loved it. She loved the layout. She loved the idea of the character, the fact that it's a woman that is kind of defined by her actions and not by the fact that she's a woman. And Captain Phasma, spoiler alert, does come back in the second movie, or the fucking 8th movie, whatever. The Last Jedi, even though she is seemingly killed off in Force Awakens, she is back in Last Jedi, which is great because she was an underutilized character in the first movie, in The Force Awakens. So thankfully she was brought back for the second movie as well. I'm sure she will be brought back for the next movie. I don't think she died in Last Jedi, unless I'm forgetting something, but I don't think she died in the 8th movie. Anyway, we move on over to J.J. Abrams, who Renee Young calls the Vince McMahon of Star Wars, which could be a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, really, let's face it, the fucking Vince McMahon of Star Wars is George Lucas, not J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams is great, but he's not by anything close to being the Vince McMahon of Star Wars. Maybe the Triple H, the newer guy coming in with some fresh ideas. I think Triple H of Star Wars might be the better comparison, although JJ would not have gotten that comparison. But anyway, he said he hopes the movie takes people to a different place to remind people that the hope in the world is still real, that the world can kind of be a crazy place sometimes, but people can go on out to the theater, watch Star Wars, and be entertained for 2.5 hours. He said if there's any person from the Star Wars universe that would be a good fit at a WrestleMania against the WWE superstar, it would be Kylo Ren, because he's an intense character, super physical, has that dark side to him, obviously, so he would be a good fit for the WWE universe. Renee Young asked JJ, what did you think about the immediate backlash or all the controversy surrounding the double-cross saber that we saw in the trailer for the movie, the one that Kylo Ren uses? And he said, hey, I'm just happy people paid that much attention to the trailer to talk about it. He wanted to do something different, which is why he did it, which is why he also gave C-3PO a red arm in the movie. He wanted to be marked in a certain way for him to have his own adventure, and he also attempts the Chewbacca noise, to which he cannot do. Better than anyone else when they're asked to do the Chewbacca noise by Renee Young, but it's still not perfect. So we move over to Lupita, who I had said portrayed Maz Kanata in the movie. When asked why WWE fans shouldn't go on out to see the movie, she says because they would be the only people on the planet not watching it, and that's a great answer because pretty much everyone saw the fucking Force Awakens. She can't say where Luke Skywalker is because obviously the big question coming into the movie was, where is Luke Skywalker? He's not doing any media for the movie, he's not involved in the movie, he's not in the trailers. Where is Luke Skywalker? So yeah, that she obviously is not going to outright say where Luke Skywalker is because that's the big fucking, plot of the movie. And she also cannot do the Chewbacca noise. Hers is pretty terrible. Renee Young says that J.J. Abrams' Chewbacca, his war noise, whatever, his war call is worse than Lupita's, but I will honestly say that Lupita's is far worse than J.J. Abrams' is. We move on over to Harrison Ford, who was the last person interviewed here. And we don't hear too much from Harrison Ford in this interview just because I would assume they filmed a lot more with him than what we saw in this episode. But Harrison Ford is infamously known for bad interviews, for putting on purposely bad interviews. So I'm sure she asked him questions and he either said, I don't know, or just short answers. And he gave a good answer to what was it like to kind of go back and play the Han Solo character again. And he said, in theory, it might have felt silly to go back and play a character that he hasn't done in close to 30 years. But in reality, it didn't feel silly at all. There was a job that had to be done. It was nice to be back. And she also asks him, is there any chance we could see you reprise your role as Indiana Jones for another movie? And he said, if we get a script and if we have a good story, I would definitely do it for an Indiana Jones 5. And that was back in 2015 that this was filmed. So, and I think since then it has been confirmed we are getting Indiana Jones 5, and I think Harrison Ford will be a part of it. I don't know how to feel about that. I like the Indiana Jones movies. 4 was kind of sort of shit, so I'm not really sure why they're doing another one, but whatever. Who cares? It should be entertaining at the very least, but that's another video for another day. But that is Renee Young's edition of Unfiltered with the cast of Star Wars The Force Awakens. Very entertaining episode. It only lasts about 8-9 minutes, so there really is no time to be taken out of your day to watch this. Really, just take 9 minutes out of a fucking lunch break. Watch the episode. It's great, especially now that we're in the Solo mood right now. Han Solo, a Star Wars story, was released last weekend. which I talked all about on Wrestle Rant Radio this past week, as well as hashtag AskGSM. So if you want my thoughts on the movie, go back and check out those two pieces of audio from the last week here on the YouTube channel and also on iTunes. So anyway, guys, thank you for checking out WWE Network and Chill. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. We will be back on Monday with a new installment of WWE Network and Chill with me talking about Season 3, Episode 3 of Total Bellas. So until then, guys, enjoy your weekend. Go out into the theater and see Solo. I'm Graham GSM Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.